Hello, my name's Paul Edwards. Welcome to Man Friendly Church, a channel dedicated to bringing equality back into the house of God, so we have an equal number of men and women. We do this in two ways. First, by understanding how men and women think differently, and second, by promoting methods that encourage men to attend and become part of the local church. But the question is, what about women? If we make this church wonderfully man-friendly, isn't that going to make it women unfriendly? Well, you might think that at first glance, but realistically, if a lady went to meet up with her friends and says, look, I've been going on a course of an evening, I've been learning to drive a forklift. None of the women are going to laugh at her or have a problem. She's not going to be embarrassed. But just imagine a man going along and saying to his mates, here, Bert, George, guess what I've been learning? I've been doing a course on knitting. Not going to have quite the same effect. Women are much happier than men to do things that are more masculine. They might automatically go towards the feminine things, but under the right circumstances, it tends not to put them off. So it's unlikely to put a lot of women off. There's always going to be some. I cannot pretend that all women are going to like a more man-friendly church, but it will be less than you think. Then we come to single women. Single women in the church have lots of single women friends, so they'll be happy in a church that's mainly women. But most young women, like young men, are looking for a partner for life. They're looking for a husband. But we preach in most churches from 2 Corinthians 6:14, do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? We very often will preach that as men and women should only marry men and women who are of faith, who are also Christians. This lady here, you can see, if you can look very closely at the picture, she's got that engagement ring on her finger. But there are a lot of women in churches who are looking for a man and can't find one. So if there are twice as many women as men, the ladies are left with the choice, either stay single, fight for the man, or marry someone who's not a Christian. Not a good question for the average lady. So I would say a man-friendly church is doing a favour to the women, especially the younger women who want to get married. But there are other benefits to a more man-friendly church that has more men in it. Whether you like it or not, on average, men are more likely to get involved and help other people with practical things. So if you've got a leaky tap, there are, on an average church, not that many women who will pop round and be able to change a washer and get the tap, or if you're in America, the faucet, to stop dripping. So yes, there is a practical thing. It helps the women with some more help which they can get through people who become friends through church. But then marriages are more likely to be happy. If you've got a man and a woman who are both Christian, they're both involved in the same club. They go to the same church. So when he goes out, she knows where he is. They've got the same concepts in the way they want to run their life. They're following the same teaching from the same preachers. You're going to have a less stressful marriage. But also, it becomes easier for the lady to follow God and do what he calls. If you've got a lady who is married to a non-Christian man and they're teaching about tithing at church, how does a Christian lady explain to her non-Christian husband that 10% of our money should go to God? Or maybe just 10% of my money that I earn. Maybe it's an old-fashioned marriage. He gives her money to spend on the food for the housekeeping for the week. Not many of those left, I know. But he's not going to be very keen on money being given to the church if he's not following God. My point is, women will find it much easier to obey God if they're married to a husband who is a Christian. Another point is that there are multiple characteristics of God. And a female-friendly church will tend to spend a lot of time looking at the more feminine type characteristics of God. The ones all to do with love and relationships and closeness and caring. Yes, I accept God has those characteristics. God does not have a sex. God is not male or female. He made mankind, that is men and women, in his image. So he has some of those feminine characteristics. he also has more masculine characteristics. If you're in a very feminine orientated church, the ladies are only, and well, the men who are attending that church as well, will see the majority of the characteristics they learn of God to be feminine characteristics, and won't understand the strength of God, the decisiveness of God, the leadership, strong leadership qualities, and the ability to attack and go to war or make a difference. Those sides of God will be missed in the teaching. So you end up with a more rounded understanding for women and for everybody if we have a more man-focused church, a more man-friendly church. I'm going to finish here by saying a man-friendly church is good for women for a few good reasons. Most women are not unhappy doing masculine things, they're usually quite comfortable. There are more potential husbands there, easier to build a Christian relationship. For everyone in the church, including the ladies, there's more practical help available because you've got a wider pool of people to choose from. You will generally have happier marriages where both sides of the marriage are Christians. It's easier for everyone to obey God if they're not disagreeing with their husband on what should be done. And I will argue a better understanding of God. I hope you found today's video useful. If you did, please feel free to subscribe and also recommend it to some other people so we can get more churches built that are friendly to men. Thank you. God bless.